Why are you disappointed?
I want to hear myself chew.
ASMR is disgusting.
I never really got into it. I just like the slime videos because they just looks fun to play with.
I like the soap ones. You know, ones where they cut.
Yeah.
Like the ones where like you cut them in like grids and then you slice them off. I always like those ones. I didn't get like the crushing ones. You know.
Like the foam ones,
Yeah,
right?
the foam ones are a bit weird. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the very first episode of the Uncooked Rice Show, a podcast where young Asian Americans talk about their experiences being young, Asian, and North American. My name is Jesse Sia, and in this episode, we'll be talking with Jessalyn Chen, a UBC Sauder student who is studying marketing, and a close friend of mine. We'll be talking about her experiences in high school, the lessons she's learned pursuing marketing, and overall accurate representation in media. Hi, welcome to the podcast. Today, I am joined by I guess, interesting individual. Her name's Jessalyn. She's a close friend of mine.
Am I?
She hates me.
Oh, I do.
But anyways, today we're going to be talking about a few things about Jessalyn's past, I suppose, her mysterious past. But mainly we're going to talk about her sort of lessons as a marketing director.
Yay.
Yeah, yay. Anyways, so Jessalyn's going to talk a bit about herself. She's going to give a little introduction.
Okay. Well, as mentioned, my name is Jessalyn. I'm raised and born in Richmond, BC. Actually, I might have been born in Vancouver. Regardless, currently I am a first-year student going into second year at UBC. I am studying commerce, and I plan to specialize in marketing with a minor in business technology management. Other things about me, I love my dog. I listen to a lot of sad music when I'm happy, but that's not for any reason. I just think it sounds nice. And I like art. There we go.
Well, just listen to sad music because it's a vibe.
I really realized I just described like every girl on Tumblr in 2012.
Yep.
Can I retract that? Can we
Nope,
start over?
We can't start over. Nope. That's going in the final edit.
Okay.
All right. So, Jessalyn, can you tell us a bit about like your experiences in marketing? Like, what sort of organizations have you been in?
Yeah. All right. Let's just start with the first thing I did. So back in grade 10, I was a public relations shadower for Interact Club at our high school, and then year after I was given the executive position there, and then in the same year, so that was during grade 11, I became the graphic designer for Rich City Idol, and then the year after I was in grade 12 and I was the marketing director for Rich City Idol.
Did you have like no other life or?
I really didn't.
No.
I stayed at school till like 6 p.m. on most days. You were also there for some of it,
I was.
unfortunately.
I also was involved in quite a bit of stuff. Didn't do well for our mental health.
No, but hey, at least we got some nice posters there.
Yeah, we made some. Drawing actual posters is an art form that's being forgotten nowadays. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Everyone's just using Canva nowadays.
Canva.
Okay, what are your thoughts on Canva?
I used to use Canva back in grade 10 before I knew about any other software. And I mean, it does what you want it to do, but it's also like horrible quality. Not to like bash Canva if you use it, but definitely would not recommend if you have options to use other things.
Like, look at, I mean, it's not bad. It's like formatting, easy formats.
That's true, yeah.
Right, but you have a really disgusted face right now.
It's like...
You look like me when I look at myself in the mirror. It's not pretty.
It's like, okay, in like broad terms, Canva is just like the easy way out.
The easy way out.
It's like when you say you're a good cook, but you just know how to like throw pre-made food into the oven from Costco.
Like Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah.
The Kraft dinner. That's okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, when did you start learning how to use like Photoshop or Illustrator?
So that started in yearbook. So I joined yearbook in, I want to say how do I not know this? It was grade 10. Yeah, grade 10. So I started off with InDesign and Illustrator and Photoshop. And then over the years, I pretty much stuck to that. I tried to dabble with Premiere, but that really didn't happen. Yeah, you have a cringy look on your face because it really didn't happen.
I mean, no. You know what?
Yeah, I'm not really a film expert, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's what I started off with, and I was really into photography too. In like grade 9, I got into that. But,
right.
Yeah.
photography. Oh, well, okay. Did you learn like Illustrator and Photoshop by yourself?
A lot of it was like the pure basics I learned from my yearbook teacher, Mr. Axelrod. And after that, it was a lot of Google and a lot of like asking other people for help. It took me a while to get comfortable with it. Probably like a good year. I mean, even now there's some things I don't know, but like Google's fantastic.
Google's your friend.
Yeah,
Google's your best friend.
except for when they're tracking you in incognito mode.
Well, that's fair. I mean, do you use incognito mode?
No.
Do you care about the fact that Google tracks everything that you do?
I mean, all Google would find out is that I'm shopping online too much and searching up random facts as to like why bees can fly.
Why can't bees fly?
It's the angle of their wings.
Is it
Jesse.
actually?
It's the angle. So the bee movie. Here's the thing.
Okay.
The bee movie, it starts off with like, we don't know why bees can fly. And it's this big like inspirational thing, but like nonetheless, bees fly. But the thing is, the movie was released 2 years after they released why bees can fly, and it's the angle of their wings.
Well, okay, funny you bring up the bee movie. So things like the bee movie and things like movies like Shrek, right? They become sort of ingrained in like, I don't know about, but like our generation's minds, you know, as like as an overall, you know, undying meme. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so what do you think? Why is that? Like, why is the bee movie so well quoted, and why is like movies like Shrek so well thought of?
It's because like, okay, this is my take on things.
Yeah.
Is that as children, of course, as all children are, we're very impressionable, and we just grow up with things, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Not only until are we older we kind of realize, well, that's kind of weird that a woman falls in love with a bee. That can she even talk to him?
I think she did. I think she did talk to it. Did they talk?
They can.
Yeah, our audience says she did.
The live studio audience said yes.
The live studio audience
Fantastic,
says yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that, and then with Shrek, with an ogre who smells horrible marrying a princess, there's just a lot of weird things going on.
Yeah, and you when you look back at it, you notice a lot of adult jokes in these movies, Shrek especially, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's just like, okay, think about it this way. I think about myself like even like 2 years ago, and I'm like, wow, well, that was disgusting. And then I just talk about it a lot.
What? What?
It's like the same thing. You like just think about your childhood, and you're like, oh, that's cringe. We're gonna meme it. Half of my humor consists of me
self-deprecating
last
humor.
month even, but
okay. Well, I mean, because I'm thinking back now, like Shrek. Shrek's always on my mind. In case you didn't know.
I love it. Thank you.
I mean, okay. Side note: was that bestiality? Is that considered bestiality?
I think. Oh.
Like, is okay? Live studio audience was Shrek bestiality? I don't know. It's just
people too.
I don't know.
I think that's.
This is a weird. Okay, we've gone off topic. All right, let's move
Sorry.
back. Let's move back to the focus of the episode. So
What was the focus?
I don't know. I'm kidding. It was marketing.
Oh.
Your experiences.
Oh,
We started talking about memes and Shrek and the Bee movie.
yeah.
Great movie. You should watch it.
I have.
Do you like jazz?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. All right. So let's talk more about your work in RCI, I suppose.
Yes.
So we both actually worked in RCI together.
Yay.
It was fun. Was it fun? Was it fun for you?
I think about it now. I'm like, oh yeah, it was really fun. And then I actually remember in the moment, like, wow, this is really stressful. But it was like, I know everybody says this. I feel like this is such a horrible thing to say. It was good stress.
It was good stress.
I don't think good stress actually exists. And
Really?
That's what I told myself for many years to feel better about being stressed.
Does good stress exist? I mean, like stress that, like pressure that forces you to do well.
See, a drive to do something is different than stress. And it took me a very long time to realize that.
That is true. Actually, yeah, you make a fair
Like
point.
adrenaline and stress, like adrenaline and fear, different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, any big regrets from RCI, your time?
Oh, I like.
Okay, so because you were a graphic designer at
Yeah.
first, right, before you headed to the marketing director position.
Looking back with graphic design, just within the year of RCI, I don't think I had as many regrets as I did like my last year, just because I wasn't in a higher position of power. Of like, I was told to like, okay, you need to do this for that time and whatever, and I like did it. Of course, there's some things like visually I don't think were executed that well, but like learning process, right? And
Yeah.
then grade 12 rolled around. I'm like, oh, I'm marketing director now. I can like actually control this and like have like a vision set out and do everything I want to do. And at first it was like, yay. And then looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, I did not do that to my best abilities. Apologies for all of that.
I mean, it went well. It didn't go well, but it went smoothly. Question mark.
It was okay. So I like started off okay. Like I had a solid plan. I'm like, this is gonna happen, and it's gonna be executed well. And it's like day by day, I have this planned, and it just didn't happen because I always forget that things happen in life, and you always have to have a plan B for things because half the time you get stressed and you get overwhelmed and you just can't finish everything on time.
Yes, and not good stress.
Not good stress.
Not good stress. Yeah, I mean, because I'm looking back at like the marketing that you did, I'm thinking it wasn't that bad, but like what was your process? Like you said you had a plan, right? So what like
my plan originally was, so I had a timeline like ranging from what was that, like November-ish all the way up until the end of May for the show.
Yep.
And I had like certain like milestones I wanted to complete, but I never really flushed them out, and that was the issue because being in the position I was in the year before, I didn't exactly learn everything I needed to learn to be a really effective marketing manager because I was 17 at the time, like
you got your own problems, you know.
Yeah, well, not even just that, but like you can only expect so much from someone like at our age. Of course, there's people who do extraordinarily well they're like crazy. I am not one of those people. Like I need to learn things in order to like do them well, and I just didn't learn how to do everything, and that's no one's fault but my own, I guess. I think I like jumped in like head first, and I was not prepared for like the exact like things I needed to do. Because a lot of things like, oh, you need to do this by this time and plan if that doesn't happen. Or like, okay, what if your graphic designers are busy? They did a great job, by the way, though.
They did. They really did.
They did fantastic. Yeah. Like, everything, like, looked great.
Yeah, it was aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. It's just behind the scenes, like, everyone knew it was, like, chaotic. And I am so sorry that it was chaotic. But, hey, I mean, now...
It was a good chaotic. Probably not.
Maybe not. It provided some good memories, though. It was definitely a learning experience.
Yeah, a lot of character development, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so, well, now that you have gone through that experience, right? Like, how do you now come up with marketing plans? Like, how do you plan for that?
I mean, now I'm not really doing any marketing, just... I'm in like school right now. I haven't taken like the extra step to go towards that, and like with extracurriculars right now, thought I'd take a break, which I think is fine. But if I were to give advice to someone in like high school regarding marketing, I would just say, like, stupid as this is, just like really flush out everything you possibly can, every single option. Think and give yourself at least a week of like leeway, and to make sure that everything you want to do you draft. Because I would go, okay, well, I want like a poster that has like this vibe, but anyone who does like graphics knows that this vibe is very hard to do.
Yeah, you know? It's like I want this color, but you know it has to look in a certain way. Like you have to feel this way. It's a bit hard, especially
it's
as a
very hard.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're saying that your advice, you would say flush it out, right? I think for me, a lot of the experiences that I have would be similar, and I would give this another advice. Maybe like, do you think setting goals probably?
Yeah, I think goals are really good. What I realized I used to do is I'd be like, okay, well, I want the end to look like this. I want it to be like really, really good. I want it to do this and this and this. But I never really realized that in order for you to do that, you have to build like a solid foundation to do so. And that was a step I completely ignored. So setting goals such as like, okay, I want to make sure that everything is done by this day, and if not like within the next like I don't know, like 48 hours or something like that. And for you to have like certain like simple milestones, but as long as you know you're abiding by those, you're doing enough to make sure that you're effectively doing your job, you know, instead of putting all your effort into something and realizing you haven't touched on the other thing at all. Right. And that's where I think the chaos was, is that I put too much effort into things that weren't as significant as like the core pillars of what we needed to do. Right. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, it was okay, but overall it went pretty well, and you learned a few things.
I learned, yeah. It's just like I also kind of created a lot of mess for other people, which is probably a bigger issue. But
It's in the end it went well, and you learned. I think everyone learned.
that's true.
Yeah, it was a shame that they couldn't host their event this year.
Yeah, it's like leading up to it, you put in so much work and so much effort. Like
Just gets canceled.
Yeah, it hurts.
Getting canceled's not fun.
No.
But then again, there are a few people I think who deserve to be canceled.
You know, I'm not really for the whole canceling thing
Really?
at all. No, I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about that. So canceling, like canceling people right now is like a huge thing, right? Like well, it used to be, and I think it still kind of is. But like, what's with that? Like,
Okay.
why is it so attractive to people?
I mean, it's so much easier to just say, "Oh, you're canceled," instead of going, "Well, here are the facts. This is how I'm going to analyze it. This is what I deduct from this. And this is how I'm going to, like, reasonably rationalize this and go, okay, maybe this is why you did what you did." So much easier to be like, "Oh, you screwed up. Bye." You know? And I feel like as people, we're so quick to jump to conclusions. And if we as a society are progressing towards being, like, accepting, you have to accept that people make mistakes. And even if some people make, like, horrendous ones that you don't even think are excusable, like, I don't think we can say, like, "Oh yeah, we want to be more accepting and loving of everyone," but then just quickly shut everyone down who doesn't follow that.
Right.
And of course you can have your own opinions, but I don't know.
So again, it's sort of like the easy way out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just easier for people to simply blame others than to actually be reasonable, I suppose.
Not necessarily reasonable, but like even open to any type of like explanation or the other side.
That's true. Well, okay. But in the overall picture of like marketing, like in relation to marketing, do you think like, is it because of these things that are seemingly easy to do, like things like tweeting just the words canceled or tweeting pictures of memes that are easy, that makes certain things so marketable?
Yeah, I mean, as people, I mean, you just get drawn towards like quick little like phrases and stuff. If it's easy to say and it catches on,
right,
it's just gonna like spread like wildfire. Like no one's gonna sit down and like read like a paragraph of like a reasonable explanation. No one has time for that, or
That's
they don't
true.
want to.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame, I suppose, because like people are more inclined to read. I mean, there are some good things about it. Like people are now being like adapting, I guess, because I'm seeing like memes of like important issues in the world being addressed in like one picture or like a few words via tweet. Yeah. But it's also dangerous, right? Because you have like people who are just tweeting like really things that seem really straightforward and things that people see it and they don't sort of follow up on more research.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's odd.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things out there that don't need to be explained, that are just like outright you can like see probably what the truth is, but that's not with everything, and I feel like that mentality is very bad to be applied to everything, like marketing included. Even like I was talking to my friends about this the other day about like even informing people more about like current situations going on, and I was saying how like, oh, it's kind of a shame that a lot of people are just taking everything they see on the internet as truth. And I was thinking like it would be a lot better if like all of these like so the way I like gather the information, I look at multiple news sources. I'm like, okay, this is what I think. Yeah. Right. But a lot of people won't do that. They'll just like see it on their IG feed, and I'm like, okay, yeah. And it would be good if like all of these media outlets were producing graphics or like information in ways that are more reachable to like our generation. So like accurate news, but in shorter like snippets. Or like, have you seen like all of those like informative like posters and stuff?
I have, yeah.
They're like aesthetically pleasing and they get a message across that's like, although maybe more general, is like it treads lightly enough of which it's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. So things like that I think are good, but I don't know, it's a bit of a gray area.
Yeah, I get like, because I'm scrolling through Instagram now, people are sharing stories about information, like they're spreading awareness and also information, right? But then there are posts that are aesthetically pleasing with good information, right? So I guess, would you say that it's, I guess, like vital to have aesthetically pleasing colors?
I mean, honestly,
like do you know what I'm getting at? Yeah. Like, because like, would you rather read something that looks pretty, or would you rather read something in like bright neon background with like Comic Sans?
Wow, that sounds like your grade 12 PowerPoints.
It got people's attention.
It's true. I mean, as bad as it is to say, because there's way more pressing issues and the quality of the information is more important than the way it's delivered. but the delivery is how it gets to people, which is honestly as important, because people, if you just don't know it, you're not going to be open to discussion. You're not going to be open to learn. So given today, when you have such a sharp contrast with all these advertisements that are like flooding the internet that are just so beautiful to look at, if you see something of less, like, I don't know, like visual, like specialization or whatever, I don't really know what you want to call it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be as inclined to look at it, and that's like
true.
the sad truth of it.
Yeah.
But marketing.
It's marketing's vital. Oh, but
Yeah.
okay, let's take a pivot away. So,
Okay.
could you explain like why are you so into marketing? Like, why did you choose to get into marketing?
I feel like I've told this to you so many times.
You have, but not to our viewers,
That's
if there
true.
are any.
So for the longest time, since I was like 4 years old, up until grade 10, grade 11, I wanted to be a lawyer so bad. Like every waking moment, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fine one day. I want to be a lawyer. Everything will turn out just fine.
Yeah, a lawyer makes that money, you know.
That wasn't even just it. I
Makes
just like
you know, was it because it would make your parents proud?
no, actually,
Oh.
my mom did not want me to do that because she
Actually-
knows I get stressed quite easily.
Yeah.
So she's like, this does not seem like a very suitable career choice, Jessie. And I'm like, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. And obviously she did. Of course she does.
Yeah.
But I kind of realized in grade 10, as I started doing yearbook, I just fell in love with graphic design. Like, I loved it so much. Like, I never found myself just so inclined to do something. Like, it wasn't like good stress. I genuinely wanted to do it. Like, there was pressure to do it, but I was like driven by it. Like, it was so much fun to me. And then I kind of thought, like, why would I do something that completely shuts off the creative side of my brain? Like, obviously there are creative sides to like law depending on like what you go into, but not nearly to the extent of graphic design. So then I'm like, ooh, I'm just gonna go to art school. And then I thought that up until like grade 11, and then
Right.
I kind of went again, well, that would also be shutting off the other side of my brain that's a bit more logical. And I was like, well, what do I do? And then I found marketing. I'm like, okay, so it perfectly incorporates both the logical and the creative side of my brain, and I'm able to express myself through both of those mediums. So I just thought it was a really good choice for me.
It's like a good balance.
Yeah,
Like a balanced diet.
like a balanced diet, but I eat a lot of
Okay.
chicken.
All right.
Anyways.
Yeah. So you found marketing as like a good medium between the two sides of your personality, brain, your interests.
I like to say brain just because
Brain.
that's how your brain is, like your
Yeah.
left and your right side.
Brain is weird. Oh my! You just lost me. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Personality, yes.
Marketing.
Marketing grid for the creative and logical sides of my personality.
Oh right, here it is. I remember what I was gonna ask. So you said you get stressed easily, right? You
I
mentioned that quite a
do.
lot. Like, have you at any point had any sort of like burnout? Because like it's quite common
Oh,
for
gosh.
like high school kids especially to find an interest at like grade 10 because they feel pressured to find one, and then sort of when they get to having to apply for university applications, they sort of have this sort of crisis where they don't know if what they want to do is actually what they want to do, right? So like, have you had that sort of burnout before?
I had such bad burnout. With myself, no one ever put pressure on me to get good grades or to like excel. Like my parents have always been super supportive of me, and if I just tried, they were happy with it, and I'm super thankful for that. And I don't know how, but over the years I kind of went, I gotta do everything. So I tried, and by the time like even grade 11 rolled around, I was so tired, and grade 12 was like a trek and a half. Like, obviously I didn't have it the worst. Like, I'm not saying that by any means, but I had no motivation. I was barely sleeping. Like, I was just not in a very good state. And I regret saying yes to everything. I don't know. I was so used to doing everything
Right.
to the fullest extent and letting it tire me out that even, like, applied to what I like to do in my spare time. So after a while, even, like, graphic design and, like, yearbook got like too much because I was just so used to exerting all my energy and not taking any time for myself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've mentioned this before, like having the issue with like you keep saying yes
Yeah.
to things, but yeah, because I've also talked to a few other kids and like they've all agreed like they regret sort of saying yes to a lot of different things
Yeah.
and sort of continuing to do something and not branching out. So like, do you regret not branching out to certain other things or exploring other interests beyond marketing and graphic design? Or
Honestly, I don't think I have any regrets with not branching out. I think what I did, like, I I am happy with everything I was exposed to. Just because I did, like, of course, I did, like, yearbook and marketing, but I also did a lot of things with student council or, like, Interact Club, and I even with grade 8 camp. Like, I did everything I wanted to do, and although it was a lot, like, I am glad that I learned what I like to do, but at the same time, I wish I spent some more time with myself, just because whenever I took time for myself, I felt guilty, and that's something that I got into the habit of like, oh no, like, you could get the night off and just, like, chill, but I wouldn't do that. I would spend another few hours working on something, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, it is a big issue, right? Like, kids sort of, I guess, feel pressured to do a lot more than they should. I mean, like, when you were doing, like, when you were thinking about university, did that ever stress you out? Like, feeling the need to sort of do more just to make your application stand out?
Cross country? Yeah. Me running, even though apparently my doctor says that my blood cells don't carry a lot of oxygen on them, so clearly I should not be running. Yeah. Interesting things you're learning today. No, I definitely... A lot of things I didn't even, when I got into them at first, like student council and, like, Interact and yearbook, I didn't think about university applications because I, like, genuinely wanted to do them.
Yep.
Even with, like, Rich City Idol, I thought it'd be, like, a really cool opportunity to, like, further improve, like, my graphic design skills. But after a while, I just became aware of the situation of university, and it wasn't, like, a drive anymore of, like, oh, I want to do this, because by the time it got too much, I was like, well, I just have to now for university applications. Yeah. And I hated that that's what it turned into for me, and that's why, like, now I'm taking it a lot easier, and I'm trying not to compare myself to other people. It's really hard not to do. I mean,
it is. Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with that, like, like, comparing myself to other people. It's not fun. Especially when you're, like, especially with social media, and, like, you see everyone doing so well
on LinkedIn.
Oh my god, LinkedIn! Don't even get me started on LinkedIn. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about LinkedIn. Let's actually talk about LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, you're in business, right? I'm not in business because I'm in economic policy. That's the most boring thing possible.
I'm sorry, I don't like it.
No, literally who likes economics? I just do it because I'm Asian.
I'm so glad you're pursuing your passions.
You can see me working at your local bank or the Bank of Canada. But yeah, no, because you're in business. Like, is there, like, a sort of unspoken pressure for you to use LinkedIn or, like, network? Networking is so, it's weird, isn't it? Like,
networking is something that a lot of people aren't used to. Yeah. I mean, I had, like, some exposure to it just through, like, high school, like, events we had, or, like, interacting with people in the school district. Yeah. But it's definitely, it's not even unspoken. It's straight up said, like, you should make a LinkedIn profile.
Do they actually say that?
I was part of a program. I was supposed to go to Kenya this summer, and they're like, oh, you make a LinkedIn profile picture and, like, include us in, like, your job description or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I kind of, like, got on. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, like, a new world that I am very terrified of. But yeah, networking is a huge thing. Yeah.
So have you been, like, using LinkedIn?
I am not using it that much. I hate to say it. I feel like I have disappointed every teacher.
As a marketing major?
I know.
And not using LinkedIn?
Okay, here's the thing, is that I was really busy, and I'm like, honestly...
as if that's an excuse.
I was taking time to myself, Jesse. Okay, I was really busy, and I was really overwhelmed with school, and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing what I can right now, and it's fine. I don't need to apply for any jobs or internships right now. Just in first year, usually people don't. Yeah. And, okay, that sounds like a bit of a pathetic excuse, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'll, like, fully update it later. And I still have not. I'll probably do it later this week. Like, actually, though, because one of my programs is ending. I'll actually update my LinkedIn properly and maybe start using it.
It's interesting, because I've been using it a bit often over the summer now. And, like, it's weird, because, like, with Instagram and Snapchat and, like, even Facebook Messenger, like, you're used to, like, people, like, posting things like, oh, hashtag Throwback Thursday, or, like,
I'm sorry, remember that? Is that what you're still posting?
No. God no. What am I posting? I'm posting, like, weird pictures
of you frowning.
Yeah, that's all. That's my face only has two moods: frowning and disappointment.
I agree. Right now, it's disappointment.
Yeah, it's at myself, not anyone. But yeah, so, like, on Instagram, Snapchat, like, especially in high school, like, you're used to people posting about, like, oh, these are my friends, like, hanging out with friends,
pictures,
you know,
and stuff.
yeah, like, happy pictures, sort of pictures. Yeah. And then you go on LinkedIn and you're introduced to a whole new world of people like being really productive, being really inspirational, and you're just like, oh, well, what the hell am I doing with my life, right? I don't know if it's a good thing. Like, some of the stuff is inspiring, right? Like
for sure.
To have something to inspire you, especially as a kid, to do more is good. But then sometimes it also, I guess, puts pressure on you, stresses you out. That sort of.
Yeah, I mean, even earlier this year, I was having a conversation, and I was talking to my mom, and I was just like freaking out. I was like thinking, okay, well, with everything going on, like I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not in enough extracurriculars. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Like this time last year, I was doing so much, and my mom kind of went, "You're doing just fine." And then I kind of stepped back, and I was talking to like my friend, and they're like, "You're doing what you can, and you're doing great. You're doing more than like some of us, and like don't say like we're not saying like oh stop complaining, but like you're doing great. Like you don't have to compare yourself to other people." And I always forget that. And like of course LinkedIn is like an amazing platform where you get to see like everyone's accomplishments, and I do like looking on it to like see what people are doing in the community.
Right.
But at the same time, like there's only so much I know I can do comfortably, and at the end of the day, like my like sanity and like my mental health is more important than work I could possibly be doing right now, because I can always redo work later or get into things later.
Yeah, and you're only like what, 18?
I'm 18. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like life now is like coming at you so fast because you see what everyone else is doing. Like, not to say like our generation has it harder, not by any means, but like it's just a different situation, different environment.
Yeah, and like it's, I don't know if it's a good thing or like if it's a bad thing, but like you're seeing more and more like young people be successful, right?
Yeah.
Like you're you're hearing like news stories being like, oh, he made $1 billion in just 2 years and he's only 18. Or like,
can I meet him?
Can I marry him? But you also have like Billie Eilish, right?
Yeah.
Like she's only what, 18 still now?
Yeah, she's younger than me.
Yeah, she's won 5 Grammys, I think.
Like more than I'll ever win.
Yeah, she's done. I mean, like, how can you compete to that, right?
Honestly, I feel like at this point, it's like my problem if I have an issue with it, because I feel like we should be celebrating these things, and I feel like there's this pressure to do more and to be more, and that's a whole different problem. And I think we should be sharing everyone's accomplishments, but it's just a matter of fact of training yourself to celebrating it and genuinely being happy for that person instead of putting yourself down. And I feel like nowadays with everything going on, people focus on how you can get there and not just appreciating that it's there and that you live in a world where that's even possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just it's like everything feels like it's moving a bit too fast.
Yeah.
And like high school doesn't really teach you much to actually keep up with that speed, right?
No, it's like a whole other like ecosystem. It's completely different than the rest of the world.
Like high school is like they like keep you in the safe in the net, and then once you graduate, they sort of throw you into the pool with sharks, and you're like,
yeah,
good luck.
Yeah, I was so used to being at school and someone would be like, oh, I need something done, be like, oh, just ask Jess, like, or like, oh, this person does that, or and like you just kind of like know. But being now, it's like, oh, there's something that needs to be done. Okay, so we have like 300 people applying for the position, and it's like definitely you don't get things given to you that easily.
No, yeah, I mean, okay, because the thing is, like, both of us, I'd say we were like the pretty top students, I'd say.
I mean, if we're talking, strictly speaking,
like top all around, we were quite, and then like you're sort of used to that environment where like you kind of people come to you for stuff.
Yeah.
Or like people expect you to know things, and most of the time you do know things, right?
Yeah.
But then you're thrown into the university, you're thrown into reality, and you're like, oh, I don't know as much as I thought I knew.
Yeah. I mean, coming into university, I expected, like, okay, your grades are going to drop by, like, at least 15%. Like, you should know that you're going to be surrounded in a place where everyone around you is as accomplished, if not more accomplished than you are. And you just kind of have to live with that. And so I came in, like, with super, super, like, high expectations. And I, like, scared the crap out of myself. But honestly, it was probably, like, a good thing. Because now I don't see myself as, like, oh, you have to be the best. You have to do the best. It's like, I'm just trying my best. you know?
You're just surviving.
I'm surviving.
Yeah.
And honestly, even first year, all you have to do is survive. That's all you need to do.
That's true. Yeah, when they say like first year, it's fine if you take time for yourself and like try to get used to the pace. I think it's really good advice, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move back to high school. Like, hey, so because we all love high school. High school is a great experience. Any regrets in high school?
I didn't actively search to be happy. That was my biggest regret.
Okay, I didn't expect it to be this sad, but okay.
I'm sorry.
Go off, Jessalyn.
Well, like,
go
that,
off.
that encompasses everything I did.
Right.
That was from taking time to myself, which I didn't do, or forcing myself to work extra hard when I didn't need to, or things like, so there's an optional test you could study for. I'm doing it, you know? Like, it was just, I pushed myself too hard, and I didn't seek people, or I didn't surround myself with people who would support me just, like, being okay with, like, just being okay, you know? Like, it was, okay, that sounds, like, super dumb when I say it like that, but I just found myself that everything was moving so fast, and I didn't have those conversations with people to where I was able to be like, okay, I'm kind of having a rough time, and I just want to, you know, like, be supportive. I just want to, like, chill. I just want to, I don't know, like, laugh, right? And I tried to force myself into so much, and I regret that. And it was like, okay, well, that's what everyone else looks like when they're having fun. I should probably do that to have fun. But, like, everyone says everyone's different.
Yeah. I mean, high school, like, did you ever, like, so on that note, like, did you ever feel like you were peer pressured to do a lot of things?
It wasn't necessarily, like, pure pressure. I think I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself. Again, I have no idea where this stemmed from. I think it was, honestly, like, growing up, my mom's always been super supportive of me, so I've always just wanted to make her proud and, like, do what's best that I know I can do. And I think I took that to, like, a new extreme where I'm like, if I have any type of, like, idea that I could maybe do it, I'm gonna go, like, full throttle and do it.
Right.
You know? So that, I went pretty extreme with, like, all aspects of my life. I think I tried to do way too much.
Yeah, I think it's like, the thing is, like, advice I would give to high school students, it's like, you should try to expand and, like, do stuff and find more interest, but there's a issue, like, there's a sort of harm to actually doing too much.
Yeah. I mean, you're also, by the time you graduate, you're like, what, 17, 18? Like, you have so much time to figure out other things. I'm not saying, like, you know, like, don't do anything, you'll do it later. But, like, obviously, if you are stressed and you're like, oh, but there's something else I maybe want to do, just say no. You can, an opportunity, like, they say opportunities only come once in a lifetime. I don't think that's true at all.
I mean, you have a whole lifetime.
Exactly. You can make opportunities for yourself when you're ready.
See, for me personally, like, I've grown up with like the idea that if opportunities aren't coming to you naturally, just go out and make them.
Yeah.
But I think that also comes from a side of me that's more privileged than most. So
that's very true.
Like, nowadays, I'm sort of struggling with my own ideas. Like, is it because this is something I truly believe in, or is it something that I grew up thinking? Do you get what I mean?
I know what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying. Like, us sitting here, like, obviously there's a lot of things that I have taken for granted over the years, and a lot of opportunities I've been given, like, that was just based off of my situation in life, and not everyone's going to have those opportunities. But I think everybody does get offered opportunities, maybe not to the same degree, and nothing is stopping you from trying the best with what you have. Again, don't compare yourself to other people.
Right.
You know, like, you doing your best is all you need to do. Like, your definition of success is not going to be the same as someone else's, and everyone has their own mountains, and they look different, but that's fine. They're nonetheless, like, your own battles to fight. And
I think another thing is, like, some paths are longer than others. Like, some
for
people will
sure.
definitely take longer to, hike up a certain trail than others, right? So,
yeah.
Like, you don't have to be successful at 18.
No, not by any means.
No,
like,
unless you deserve it, like Billie Eilish.
Yeah. You're just hyping her up.
She doesn't need my hype. But okay, so on that point of, like, privilege, let's pivot to what this podcast is about. So this podcast was created to sort of spread and explore the stories of, like, young Asian Americans, right? And I just want to hear from you, like, what are your thoughts on the current sort of climate of media representation on Asian Americans, and especially young Asian Americans too?
Growing up, I was never given any representation of any type of Asian person in the media. at least not in the way of portrayed of where I thought it was a good thing.
Mhm.
I didn't really realize what had happened internally until like grade 9, but growing up I hated being Asian with every ounce of my being. I remember I would sit in front of the mirror, I'm like, Mom, when am I gonna get eyelids?
Oh,
And like I would be like, I want to dye my hair blonde, I want blue eyes, I don't want to be Asian, like, Mom, I don't want to bring this food to school. And it was just like, and no one even, like, growing up in Richmond, like, we are so lucky because everyone else around us was Asian. But being kids, what you learn a lot of the time is from celebrities or, like, online. Just older people, that's who you look up to, right? Mm-hmm. And I was only surrounded by, like, white people. And, like, all the TV shows I watched, everyone was, like, white. All of the, like, cartoons and everything. So I was given the impression that no one said, like, oh, like, being Asian is bad to me, which I'm super thankful for that I didn't grow up in an environment like that. Mm-hmm. But no one celebrated it. And it took me so long, like, I want to say up until grade 9 to even realize that, hey, there's a lot of things about being Asian that I might like. And now I'm so regretful of not accepting that. And I'm glad that in the media now that it's being represented better. But I still think there's a long way to go. Right. Because a lot of the time, like, not complaining by any means. Like, I'm so glad that, like, the steps that the media has taken to celebrate, like, being Asian. But it's still, like, I feel like there's no just, like, characters like, oh, she's Asian or he's Asian. And we don't need to explain it. Mm-hmm. You know? It's like, oh, we have to, like, really, like, talk about, like, their culture and the things they do and that are different. Like, why can't you just have, like, a main character that's Asian that participates in whatever culture that show is taking part of and just leave it as it is?
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like if I had that, things would have been really different for me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, now I'm here and I can't speak Chinese and my grandma can't speak to me, which is really sad.
Yeah, no, because, like, I was lucky that I sort of had, like, my parents they don't speak that much English to me, and we only speak in Mandarin, so, like, my Mandarin is intact in a way that I can communicate at the most basic level.
You sound pretty fluent to me. I also know, like, 25 words, but...
Yeah, but, like, the issue, like, because a lot of kids who've, like, immigrated here to, like, North America, Canada, America, like, the United States, a lot of that culture is sort of cut off, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only closest thing would be, like, their parents, maybe.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, like, okay, but as, like, a person who's studying marketing... Yeah. I mean, a few years ago, there's this whole big issue with, I think, advertisement representation, right? Like, people have noticed that, why are there only white people in advertisements, and especially in beauty products, right? Like, I don't know if you've noticed that.
I've definitely noticed that.
But, like, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, again, this plays into the whole, like, representation is so important. Like, you don't realize it until you're older, or even some people don't even realize it till they're older. And having just as much as you can is so important. I remember, like, every time I would see something online, I'm like, oh, I want that. But it was just, like, a beauty product, again, for someone who was white. Or, like, hair color on someone who was white. Or this and that. Or, like, even all of those info food. Actually, honestly, having a lot of... I don't think I would want to be in one of those info food commercials where the person's struggling to open, like, a cabinet or something.
Or those, like, products where, like, you see, like, an old person, like, really dramatically trip and fall, and you're just like, oh no, I think he's not okay.
Yeah, okay, but, like, moving on from that, but yeah, no, having, honestly, just a little bit would have been so cool. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, as a kid, you know Bratz dolls?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
There was this one, I think her name is Jade, she had black hair. And I'm like, I want that one. They're like, why? She's Asian. They're like, I don't think she's Asian. She has black hair, though. Oh, okay, yeah, good enough. You know, like, even something like that where you're not just blonde was so important to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, a lot of dolls, they didn't really have, like, even Barbies. Like, Barbies, I don't know. I didn't play with Barbies. I had action figures. Did I?
I love Barbies.
What do you girls do with, like...
Okay, here's what I did. This is so extra, but, like, that's also me. I had one of those IKEA bookshelves. It was like a 4x6. Mm-hmm. Like, it was really big. Each one was like a foot by a foot, like each square. I mean, the entire thing into a Barbie dream house with a working elevator. I had like a little like pulley system with strings and like thumbtacks, and I made like a little cardboard elevator, and each room was like a separate room, and all of them had different bedrooms, and there was like a 6-car garage, and I was just really living life with my Barbies.
I just played with Lego.
Again, my Barbies, I think. Barbie treehouse, like, trumps that right
okay,
here.
all right, cool.
You can't see this,
all
but,
right.
like, Barbies, Lego. Okay, Legos are really cool, but like my Barbie dream house,
Your homemade
my
Barbie,
homemade Barbie dream house. I also like made them fake food out of like clay and stuff. I was really going for it.
How old were you?
I was like
16?
no, so I was like 15. No, I was like what 8? Maybe
8? What? 8?
maybe younger. I don't really know. I don't have a very good.
Well, you don't
concept
have
of
to.
time.
You don't have to be young to play with dolls.
No.
No, of course not. You can play with whatever you want. If you buy it, you're yours to do what you want with it.
Honestly, if somebody gave me like a Lego set today, I'd probably choose that over watching a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I miss Lego. They're so
Lego's good.
expensive though.
You know, I just did like a case on Lego last week.
Really?
Yeah, that was painful.
What was it about?
It was about how they almost went bankrupt in the early 2000s, and then I was on my phone. It's like, Lego just donated $4 million towards education for children. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that they financially rebounded too. But like, also go Lego. But yeah, it was just about that and how to recoup. Regardless, that was case stuff that I don't want to think about because it hurts my brain.
Wow. Try doing sciences.
Oh God, there's a reason why I'm not in sciences. I took one bio class and I was like, so this is kind of fun. And then they're like, oh yeah, so this is like the easiest one. I'm like, okay, so bye.
Can't do this. See you in commerce.
Yeah. Honestly though, I was in bio and I was doing a dissection and my teacher comes over. He's like, have you ever thought about being a surgeon? I'm like, why? He's like, you have very good dissection skills. I'm like, thanks. So at least that dead frog was used for me to learn about myself, that I could be a surgeon if I was smart enough.
You guys got to dissect a dead frog?
Did you dissect a live frog?
Not in class time. No, I'm kidding. No, I dissected a dead rat.
I don't know if I did the rat. I know I
think I
definitely
did a
did the
mouse or
frog.
rat.
I don't remember. That entire course is like a blur, but yeah, I don't really remember much past a year. My brain's
High school was a memory I like to suppress.
yeah.
Okay. So we've talked a bit about media representation.
Yeah.
But like, where do you see, I guess, like accurate representation heading towards in the next few years?
Honestly, that's hard for me to say because I personally don't even have a very good grasp on my own culture.
Right.
So I feel like I don't know why you put me on this podcast, but like I am very like westernized. The closest connection I have to Asian culture is food because that's the one thing you don't need to exactly know the language to do.
Right.
So like I like to cook a lot of Asian food if I can, and me even based off of that, like that lets you know of how little I know. And there's a lot of little things I've picked up over the years of like that I've liked about Asian culture, like not to like be super stereotypical, but like even like how hard you work and like your ethic. That's super important to me. But I just want to see more. That's all I can say. Like in all aspects, in all directions, just more. Like it doesn't even have to be like they're like forcing it now. No, just literally just like grab the population, take some stats, be like, this much of the world is Chinese. Maybe we should probably have around that number in our shows. You know, like just things that would make sense, like accurate representations of society. That's all I would ask for.
Did you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I am very sad to say that I haven't.
We're gonna skip. Okay, you're
not cultured.
You are.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
I have watched RuPaul's Drag Race though.
Actually, I haven't caught up on the new season.
What a shame.
Was it no? I've been busy. Why are you giving me that look? I have other things to do, not better things, I would say, but I had other things to do.
Okay, that's the right mindset.
That is the right mindset. But yeah, I guess. Okay, so the reason why I have you on this podcast, it's because like, just because you aren't as connected to like your Asian culture as other people doesn't mean like you're not an Asian American, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So there's the reason. Yeah. But I guess I know what you mean by like having more. But like, what about, say for example, if you have a movie or like a TV show with a really, I guess wrongful depiction of an Asian character. What like?
See, that makes me upset because it's like you can't generalize like a whole race. I mean, everyone like nowadays like that is so evident. But especially with any type of minority, I feel like it's so hard to do that. And it's so frustrating sometimes because it's like you hear all this great news about like, oh, Asian representation, and then you watch it and it's like, oh, so it's not actual Asian representation. It's representation of what Asian people look like to white people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's super frustrating because, okay, not to like sound like I barely watch any movies or anything, but even with like To All the Boys I've Loved Before, like that, like that representation wasn't like in your face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's little bits here and there, like that she likes drinking, like Yakult, was it? I think.
Yeah, I like Yakult.
Yeah,
I don't know
I do too.
Yeah.
But like you know
great.
things like that where it's like just like normal, like it's not a
Yeah.
big deal, and it's not this huge like oh like it's of course like I'm not discounting anyone's efforts of like immigration or anything, but it's not focusing on that. It's just like someone who's Asian.
Yeah,
living
it's
in
not like
America.
her whole personality isn't surrounded by the fact that she drinks Yakult, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
It's like I totally get what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, you would also think like these shows and these movies who like are given like billions, millions, and billions of dollars for production. You would think that they would at least hire somebody or like seek counsel to get these representations correct, right?
I remember even like talking to my sister. Okay, I don't even know what movie this was. This is a really bad example, but it was they remade like a movie or something, and like they had all of the Asian characters portrayed by people who were like white with black hair. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like it's just things like that, and it just like makes me angry. It's like you've just
Isn't this Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie?
Was it the movie?
Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna bring that up, but you apparently haven't watched.
My sister's watched all of them, and I just haven't gone around to it. Hey,
I should
but
have
the
your
thing
sister on.
Somebody sent me a picture of like the really cute like turtle duck, and I'm making it right now.
The turtle dog.
Turtle duck thing.
The turtle duck.
Yeah.
Oh, the turtle. Oh my. Okay.
I'm making it.
You should at least watch it. Okay? What are you doing right now? You literally.
Do you want to see? I have pictures saved to my camera roll, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this.
No.
Because it's so cute.
Okay, fine. Let's see it.
It's so cute.
Oh, okay. That is actually pretty
It's
cute.
quite adorable. You should search it up if you're listening to this.
It's a turtle duck. The turtle duck in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
So cute.
Oh my god. Why? Okay. Why don't you watch this show while you're making it?
That would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, that would.
Wait.
That would be a good idea.
I'm so dumb. I should do that.
All right. Okay. So Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Yes.
like representation. Have you watched Crazy Rich Asians?
I have watched Crazy Rich Asians.
What were your thoughts on Crazy Rich Asians?
I want to go to Singapore now.
Singapore is fun.
Yeah, I really want to go. But I really liked the movie. I mean, I just thought it was like a good storyline. I thought it was like fun to watch. I liked how it was like an all Asian cast. It just like, of course, it is like focusing on Asian culture. Obviously, that's what the movie is about. But I think it is important to have those type of things in the media. Definitely. Right. I thought it was such a good movie, and I was about to read the book. Again, I don't know why I haven't it sitting at home, but I'll do that soon. Yeah. Your thoughts?
I loved them. I enjoyed the movie.
But
No, but
Oh,
I did enjoy
actually?
the movie. Yeah, it's like for somebody who's grown up as well, like sort of, I guess not being really into my Asian culture, or like growing up not really liking being Asian, having that representation was really heartwarming.
Yeah.
And I get like I read some of the reviews, some of the points made were like, oh, it's too dramatized, or like it focuses too much on one stereotype of Asians, and I'm like, well, you got to start somewhere.
That's true,
right?
for sure.
Like it's focused on one thing. It's not like it's saying that this is what all Asians are like.
Yeah.
Right. But overall, I do agree what you're saying is like more is always good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I guess what would you say? How would you think that like people, like kids like us, like young Asian Americans like us, what should we do to sort of help spread accurate representation? Like, what can we do to sort of continue what's already being done right now?
Honestly, just the normalization of like Asian culture. So it's like I see this thing all the time where in high school a lot of my friends are white, and it was like if I had something like super Asian, be like, oh, like ha ha ha, right? Or like it wasn't in anything like ill, and like I even made fun of myself. I'd be like doing something like, oh, can't do that, I'm Asian, right? And it's just like stopping that, because honestly there's nothing to be ashamed of. You should be like proud of your culture, and that's something I wish somebody told me a long time ago. And it's just like honestly like living and not thinking about like how you are perceived by other people, and like, oh, I need to act this way to make sure that someone doesn't see me like this, or like I have to act differently around this. And it's like, no, just be yourself. And because Asian culture is different in everyone, you don't have to act a certain way to display that. You don't have to do certain things to do it. Just literally live, and people eventually, hopes are that they understand.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get yeah, because I've had friends, like most of my friends are Asian, just because I've lived in the most Asian city in North America.
Yep.
But like thinking back, because I've spent some time thinking, and like thinking back, there was a lot of times where we've just me and my friends, we've sort of made fun of our Asianness.
Yeah.
And at the time it seemed like it was just good fun, right?
Yeah.
But thinking back, a lot of it was sort of, I guess, a result of so much internalized anger and hate towards our culture.
Yeah.
And so, like, I guess thinking to like the next generation of kids, especially young Asian Americans who are growing up right now, I guess I wouldn't say they're lucky per se, but I would say they're sort of like, I wish I could have been in their position where to see like a whole bunch of media representation of like my culture, right?
No, I definitely agree. I feel like, I guess with like all cultures really, there's a lot of things that you don't like about it. Like everyone, like there's certain things you can say that are like traditional that you don't like, but that doesn't mean that you can't celebrate Asian culture of the ways that are great. Like you don't have to do every single aspect of Asian culture and be fully like intact with it. Like you can introduce other things, you can do what you want, like as long as you're celebrating it and not bashing it, then that's fine.
I think the worst thing is feeling as if somebody's better than you just because, even like because of a reason that you can't control, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like even worst thing that I hated so much is that I'd get told all the time, "You're really pretty for an Asian girl."
Oh, that's terrible. That's like the worst, one of the worst backhand compliments.
Yeah, and I would sit there and I'm like, "Thanks," and then I would sit there a little longer. I'm like, "Wait, what does that mean? Like, am I like, is it like, am I pretty and am I Asian? Because if so, like, thank you. But is it like, oh, I'm Asian, which is like a slightly different level, and I'm pretty for that lower level, And it's just like things like that where people just think it's normal to say.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's say you don't even mean it like that, but like, how else are you supposed to perceive that?
Like if you have it consistently, like you have people keep continuing to say that, it doesn't result in good things.
Yeah, no, like, and after a while, like, I even believed it. I would, like, see people, and I'm like, oh, you're, like, really pretty. And I'd be like, oh, I don't look like that. And I'm like, oh, obviously it's because I'm Asian, so I'm not going to be that pretty. And it's, like, took me a while to realize, like, oh, you can be, like, as equally, like, beautiful as someone, but it's a different type, And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that about cultures, is that you don't have to celebrate in the same way for it to be as accepted or as joyous. Like, it looks different to different people. And that's something I think a lot of people now are starting to realize, is that Asian culture, it looks very different, and that's a good thing.
Right.
It's like you just have like an infinite amount of ways to celebrate differently now, and I think that's wonderful. Like just learning more about other cultures. But, yeah.
But and to me, it's always been sort of like, I think society's been responsible, and especially like media has been responsible for people having those thoughts, right? Like they're growing up seeing and hearing things like, oh, Asians are a certain look below other races, right? And so I guess because we'll wrap up soon, but like I guess if you were to be talking to a whole bunch of like young little Asian Americans, I guess what would be the one thing you would say to them?
Celebrate yourself in all means, everything you do. Everything you love about yourself, everything you love that your family does, celebrate it. You don't have to agree with everything that everyone does. You don't have to fully agree with your parents or how you've been taught to do it. Like, the things you like, share them with other people.
Right.
Like, everything that you want to share, do it. Like, there's no limitation to it. Don't be scared of other people.
And if you were in front of a whole bunch of kids who are sort of looking to do marketing as well, what would you have anything to say about like representation and the idea of marketing accurate representation?
Speak your truth. Honestly, there's, at this point in age, like, all this information is available to everyone online. Eventually the truth always comes around, so just start with it. Makes it easier.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, thanks Jessalyn for being our first guest on the podcast.
Anytime.
It's been fun. Please actually watch Avatar: Last Airbender.
I will.
It is a cultural beauty.
I'll do it instead of my case this week.
Well, I don't know if you should do that.
The case is optional, so it's
What do you
fine.
mean case is optional?
It's like the last week. They're like, you don't have to if you don't want to. So I'm like,
all right, you're teaching the kids not to do stuff.
I'm watching Avatar. I'm getting
Okay.
cultured.
Well, also do your work. All right. Thanks, Jessalyn.
Anytime.
Hey, if you're still listening, congrats. You made it to the end. If you enjoyed listening to the episode today, we'd love it if you could support us by clicking that follow button if you're listening on Spotify. And stay tuned for the next few episodes of The Uncooked Rice Show. Thanks again.